The current surviving quest bearers get the experience points. Quest XP is per person. Wow, we should have brought more people. We should each have our backup character with us. This is my squire. Yeah, he's my twin brother. Exactly like me, but one level lower.
Game night is the best night of the week. When your friends show up, the snacks come out, and it's time to slay some monsters. But it can also become a source of stress and conflict. Or, in the worst case, it can turn into the NERF Wars. Please click like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. The party have finally reached the grand city of Aberia del Fayir. They still need to make an appointment to meet with Dom Harad, who is due to return to the city any day now. However, before we could get to making the appointment, and then properly wasting time until our appointment, we had some time-wasting details to get out of the way.
Okay, so for control of the cleric this week, somebody roll a d6. On a result of 1 through 6, control of the cleric goes to Balgoth.
Come on, man. I don't want to run him.
Wait, nothing happened last week, there was no combat, so it should still be Omit's turn.
Nobody really wants to run the NPC cleric, but Balgoth really doesn't want to, and Omit would much rather take the bullet for him.
Yeah, we only control him in combat while you roleplay for him, and there was no combat, so I didn't really have a turn.
As agreed upon, a different player gets the cleric each week, and not Azeron.
The not Azeron part is understood and accepted by all, because Azeron has effectively played healer for the party for many months now, and has died almost a half-dozen times in that role. He deserves a break.
Hands up everyone who agreed.
Azeron stifles a laugh. No hands are raised.
Hand this character sheet over to Balgoth.
Come on, man. I really don't want to. I'm tired, okay?
Balgoth, part of the point of this NPC cleric thing was to give you some experience playing something different.
With some resignation, Balgoth takes the cleric's character sheet, and the accompanying cheat sheet I had made with descriptions of his spells, way back when I built the unwanted gnome. For the record, Balgoth has been playing D&D long enough that nobody doubted his ability to run the cleric. However, the other players were inclined to let him just play the way he likes to play. One man's rut can be another man's idea of fun, after all. Whereas GM was very concerned that the dwarf's player expand his horizons, lest the experience grow stale for him. Balgoth, for his part, just wanted to be left alone right then. This time, for the interrogation phase, GM tried a new format, a fixed 3 questions per player, so that the questioning had a clear endpoint, and one of the questions would be asked by their fellow players. The players, sadly, showed little interest in this innovation, so of course, the first player-asked question was, "Can you get me a cup of coffee?" I can. That doesn't mean I'm going to. And the entire exercise devolved into a debate over whether or not that question counts, until GM gave up and moved on to actually playing D&D. When morning came, Azeron, Balgoth, Omit, and Varian set out from their lavish hotel rooms, along with the NPC cleric, Donner Lifesaver, and they made their way to the Wizards' College, the blatantly magical tower which dominated the skyline of Aberia del Fayir. There were no shifting stairways or other Hogwarts references. GM had created this part of the setting long ago, before he even heard of Harry Potter. In fact, there was a lot of reading and very little magic going on in the courtyard, though one member of the staff levitated past the party, and there were an abundance of unseen servants, harmless, barely visible workers distantly related to air elementals, gliding to and fro, performing all manner of menial tasks. The PCs had been given an important message for Dom Harad, a letter to be delivered in person to this important wizard. The Majordomo, official handling the Dom's schedule, informed them that the powerful wizard was currently away, and his time was thoroughly booked for the next 2 months.
Surprisingly, this NPC was friendly, helpful, and not in any way a jerk, and is thus unlikely to be remembered by the players next time they're complaining about GM's non-player characters. Despite the contents of the letter being secret, making it difficult for the party to give any proper justification for their urgency, the Majordomo seemed to sense the importance somehow, and, with little explanation, he agreed to bump us up in the schedule, giving us an appointment in 2 days, not long after Dom Harad returns to the city, giving the party 2 days to waste in Iberia del Fire.
So, I need to buy an item that lets me fly. What are my options?
Didn't GM say he was adjusting the prices on flying carpets because they were overpriced?
And because he likes flying carpets. Yes, they were very overpriced since they are largely a non-combat flight item. I've revised the prices for the 3 grades of flying carpet to be 5,000, 10,000, and 15,000 gold, respectively.
Holy crap! That's quite a reduction. About a quarter of the usual prices.
Yeah, we should buy them all, then find another plane where we can sell them at book price.
Belkoff sifts through the book's various options for magic items that grant flight. The Carpet of Flying is very tempting at that price, particularly since the carpet has an unlimited flight duration. However, when in use it can be targeted by attacks, and you never want to risk something that valuable being destroyed in combat, particularly when it could result in large amounts of falling damage. In D&D 3.5, all the other flight items had been changed from the long, typically unlimited durations they had in older game editions, to much more limited use. The Broom of Flying sounds like a rather embarrassing mode of travel for a self-respecting dwarven warrior, but once bonded, it can zip into your hand on command from up to 100 feet away and can fly for up to 9 hours a day. Unfortunately, it seems dubious as a mobility item for a melee character and costs 17,000 gold. The Wings of Flying, a cape slot item from the 3.0 edition, is no longer available, and the Cloak of the Bat sucks now, having both a limited duration and functioning only at night. Eventually, Balkoth settled on the classic Boots of Flying after all. For 16,000 gold, they are usable only 3 times per day for 5 minutes each time, making them useless for overland travel, but they function as the fly spell rather than the slower overland flight used by carpets, brooms, and Variant Seth. And 5 minutes is more than long enough for any normal battle. As such, they really do seem to be the best option to engage flying enemies in hand-to-hand when required. Jim, when you lowered the price on flying carpets, did you lower the price of any other flight items, like the boots?
No, but I could give you a good deal on an Apparatus of Kwalish. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy describes the Apparatus of Kwalish as the most advanced magical self-contained trash can in Dungeons & Dragons, and it is without a doubt at least 10 years ahead of its closest competitor. For the paltry sum of 90,000 gold pieces, this large, sealed iron barrel transforms into a crab-shaped magical submarine with a 2-person capacity. Unfortunately, given that it only holds enough air for 1d4 plus 1 hours, is rated for a maximum depth of 900 feet, and given that most D&D parties are made up of 3 to 6 adventurers, most people with that kind of money to throw around would prefer to buy a stone golem for 90,000 gold pieces, which arguably has similar combat capabilities, while also being immune to most hostile magic, having no explicit limits to the depth and duration of its underwater operations, and having a 0-person capacity, and thus avoids risking any of your valuable player characters on a dangerous underwater adventure. See the full Hitchhiker's Guide entry for more information.
Oh mate, can I borrow 2,000 gold?
Didn't you have a Ring of Featherfall that you won't need anymore? That should sell for almost 2,000.
1,600 actually, since GM nerfed the selling tax.
We used to get only half book price for all sold items, but after a great deal of complaints and frustrating economics debates, GM decided to give us 80% value when selling useful or desirable items, such as stat boosters, magic weapons, and armor. Though subpar or second-tier items, like Pipes of Haunting or an Apparatus of Kwalish, will still sell for only half of their book value.
He already sold it.
Yeah, I need to sell my ring and get another 2,000 to have 16,000 for the boots.
Okay, then, here.
Thanks.
Wait, why are you still giving them money, Omit? Shouldn't they start paying you back for all the money you lent them before?
I don't really need anything.
But you spent how many thousands saving their lives just in the last 2 fights?
A lot. I'd rather not think about it.
Here, Omit, take 1,000 gold.
If Varian paid Omit 1,000 gold per session, he might cover the amount he has borrowed fairly quickly, but would still be running a crippling deficit compared to the value of consumable items Omit has expended on his behalf.
Hey, did we find the elephant depot yet?
Do any of the shops have an elephant we could trade Stampy for? One that's recharged?
Actually, as of today, exactly 1 month has passed since the first time you used him, so his use is just reset.
Really? Sweet.
And so, 2 days after making the arrangements, we returned to the Wizards College for our appointment with Dom Harad, the head of the college and de facto ruler of the city, recently returned from business far away.
The cleric's gonna stay outside.
He's coming with you.
I agree with Balkoth. Donna should stay behind.
This element is not up for debate. Now, as you enter the courtyard, an unseen servant glides up to you, holding a sign that says, Balkoth, Donner, Malavon, Omit, Varian. It's like a limousine service.
Hey, I didn't hear the cleric's name. I guess you can stay here.
It did mention him. Donner. That's his name.
I'm afraid it did say Donner.
Darn. So close.
The semi-visible servant, and its far more visible sign, led the heroes up a seemingly interminable staircase, then paused, stepping aside to let them pass. It was the middle of the curving stairs, no door in sight, so they continued forward, experiencing an odd sensation. A sensation they recognized only because they had crossed into other planes of existence a few times before. Sure enough, while the servant they had been following was left behind, below the boundary, a new unseen servant met them, whose sign simply read, Follow me. The staircase looked the same. There was no obvious difference after crossing over, except an extreme sense of uneasiness felt by Omit, which indicated, to those with the appropriate knowledge skills, that the plane they had entered was strongly aligned with the universal forces of order and law. We continued up to the top of the stairs, where they opened onto an immense hemispherical room, multiple football fields in diameter, which seemed to contain nothing except a single large desk where Dom Harad sat, talking to a pair of other figures. And so Balkoth handed the wizard this letter, whose delivery we had been tasked with on the far side of the desert way back when we were about level 7. Dom Harad broke the seal and read its contents swiftly, as his various guests looked each other over. Beside him stood a gnome in heavy clockwork-assisted plate armor, and 07, a representative of the plane of Mechanus, which was the location of this strange meeting room. Strange company they appeared, and yet, considering the extraplanar threats the party had been slogging through to get here, it was not so surprising they'd become embroiled in some more complex game. The Dom was thankful for the warning, but explained that although the disruption of trade caravans they were investigating was serious, he had even greater concerns. But, though he lacked the time to intervene himself, he would be happy to grant us significant aid, if we continued to investigate on our own. So for delivering the letter, you each get 1,000 long overdue quest XP. Donner gets 250. Cool.
So it's 1,000 each, and the old cleric isn't stealing any?
Heronium?
Because he was really there a lot longer than Donner.
Technically, Azeron's new character, Malavon, has only been with us a brief time, but nobody's about to deny him the XP, even if the instance of him who was given the quest died about 6 characters ago.
The current surviving quest bearers get the experience points. Quest XP is per person. Wow, we should have brought more people. We should each have our backup character with us. This is my squire. Yeah, he's my twin brother. Exactly like me, but 1 level lower.
By the end of the meeting, Azeron had 50 bonus role-playing XP, for reasons I failed to record in my notes, and the party had a new objective, to investigate a dwarven stronghold the kingdom had lost contact with, which the Dom now suspected to be occupied by a lich. Dom Harad escorted us back to the prime material plane, our usual world, where a pair of unseen servants unrolled a carpet for the heroes. I believe Balkoff is right, that flying would be the safest and most expedient way for you to travel to the stronghold.
The carpet unfurled before you is gold-tasseled, gilded, and embroidered with elegant patterns, and has a variety of large and precious jewels sewn into it around the edges. And the carpet says,
I thought you had agreed not to pass me around like some kind of possession anymore. I apologize, but I would appreciate your assistance in this matter, and I will of course arrange for you to be suitably compensated. This is Sepathula. He can carry all of you through the sky, making excellent time, but you must treat him with respect. He will bear you only if he chooses to, and if you insult him, you may have a rather abrupt trip to the ground. Varian and Omit exchange glances, obviously thrilled to have the opportunity to deal with an intelligent item, and one with an elevated ego score at that. Look at their attire. They don't look fit to travel with me.
I understand, Sepathula. My clothing is simple, certainly not befitting of beings of our stature, but that is because we so often encounter crude creatures and less fortunate people, where the finest of attire would prove more of a barrier to communication.
Before they set out, I will ensure that they are given proper clothes, Sepathula.
There's nothing wrong with my clothing.
Take a closer look. Is it worth over 1,000 gold?
Worth 7,000. I splurged.
Oh. Well, as you give the magic carpet a closer look at your robe, Sepathula apologizes. Forgive me. At a cursory glance, I failed to notice the fine weave of your cloak. This thread count. Nevertheless, the rest of you will have to do something about your look. I can't have those outfits clashing with my splendor.
I don't think much of your fashion sense. This armor is worth a lot more than that. This is a solid point, given that one of GM's hobbies, whenever discussions of wealth come up, is to draw attention to the ludicrous value of Balkoff's prized +3 adamantine full-plate armor. Nevertheless, the carpet is not amused. I will not tolerate this biped insulting my fashion sense. I demand restitution.
Oh, mighty Sepathula, we offer the sacrifice of this gnomish cleric.
As I explained, Sepathula demands that you treat him with respect, as you surely demand respect from others. The Dom's tone made clear that he was quite experienced in negotiating with the carpet. Please understand, armor and its craftsmanship is very important to Balkoff's people, a matter of honor.
Yes, if he sounded insulting to you, it's because you accidentally insulted his glorious adamantine armor.
Sepathula has his own treasure hoard. Will 100 gold suffice for this unintended slight? Sepathula accepts the total, and Balkoff, somewhat uncharacteristically, relents, paying off the uppity upholstery with 100 gold piece gemstone. Sepathula complains about the cut, but accepts the gem, granting that the stone's size is adequate. Balkoff couldn't stop, actually, and made several more comments which any reasonable person would have ignored, but which, of course, risked offending the overproud floor covering.
Somebody should cast silence. Except the spell is banned.
Instead, Dom Harad wisely placated and dismissed the snobbish shag before any further offense could occur, giving the party a day to prepare, and a good sum of reward money as well.
Last minute shopping time.
GM, can I get my base shield changed so that I have a spine shield, but keep all my shield's enchantments?
We sort out the properties of a spined shield and how much more it costs than a regular +1 large shield, and GM approves. Effectively, Balkoth will still have a +1 animated shield as before, but now it can fire spines as a 1d10+1 ranged attack 3 times per day.
So I have a +1 spine floating shield now.
Don't forget to add the hardening property.
The Heartening magic property from the expanded Psionics Handbook is a 780 gold shield modifier. Once per day, as an immediate action, it grants the wielder +5 temporary hit points. Balkoth's old shield had it. In fact, every shield in the party has had it since we had enough cash for magical loot. That reminds me, I've been reviewing the Heartening property for a while, and this seems like a good time to get rid of it.
It's just 5 hit points. That's nothing.
Varian doesn't look like he thinks it's nothing, but he does look like he regrets reminding Balkoth out loud. It's very good. It's not your fault. I don't fault anyone for making intelligent choices, but their time has come. No more heartening shields. But everyone who has one can sell the property back for, I'll be generous, double the original purchase price. After much disgruntled muttering, the players get back to spending their loot, now with an additional 1,500 gold they would have preferred not to have. The next day, back at the Wizards' College, the party are greeted by some of Dom Harad's servants, who clothed them in extravagant finery worth over 1,000 gold per person, except for Omid, whose 7,000 gold, basic black hooded, look I'm a thief fashion statement is apparently the finest back alley burglar garb ever produced by couturiers. Varian seemed pleased with this, complimenting the carpet's fashion sense, but Balkoth seemed less than thrilled with the regal purple clothes he was issued. In fact, Varian remained extremely polite and cordial around Sepathula. The rest of the party found it difficult to listen to his caving in, though it was probably saving them a lot of problems later on. And Balkoth could not help but notice that the gem he had paid the other day, in restitution, now slightly recut, had been sewn in amongst the other gems around the edge of the strong-willed 10-foot by 10-foot flying carpet. The party flew for some time over the desert. The trip was estimated to take about 3 days at Sepathula's speed. Not blazingly fast, but traveling on through the night without pause and overflying any terrain, it seemed like a good way to avoid the annoying encounters along the road. What about rest stops?
We could just go over the side.
Sepathula makes it clear that anyone who tries to relieve themselves over the side is going to meet an unfortunate end, and when someone casts scrying to find out who killed them, they will see the ground. This got a good laugh, an in-joke reference to our playthrough of the old 3.0 edition Lord of the Iron Fortress module, but it would take too long to explain here. They flew day and night, pausing only for the brief rest stops needed by the party.
Would it be acceptable for me to substitute my boots of elvenkind for these fine boots? They appear plain, but their craftsmanship is exquisite. They are valued higher than this entire outfit.
I suppose that would be acceptable.
What about my boots of flying?
Hopefully he doesn't get jealous.
This is such a smooth mode of travel. Seems like a good time to discuss the benefits of worshipping Pelor.
It's a long way down.
It was a long way down, but it was also a long flight, and in the night skies above, shadows were gathering. Next time on the NERF Wars. Please like, subscribe, and click the little bell thingy that may or may not increase your chances of seeing the next episode of NERF Wars. And of course, I can't thank my Patreon patrons enough, especially the members of the organization. They're the only reason I can keep making stuff like this, and Sea of Secrets, my fully animated D&D campaign with much better story than this.